Welcome to the Din and Don Show. I'm Din.
And I'm Don.
And we're here for some fun.
I am very tired today.
I don't blame you. Yesterday I was extremely tired as well. Yesterday I only had 3 hours of sleep.
Oh, well, that's great. Get some sleep, everybody. It's healthy for you.
Sleep is very important, and it's actually very healthy. But back to the video. This episode we're going to be talking about Stranger Things. Cue intro.
I talk so much on this show. Then you talk first about what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on Stranger Things, I would probably have to say it's not all hype. It really is good. Like, honestly, Netflix, I feel like Netflix actually sprung this show on us. At least that's how I felt, because I felt when I first found it, I was like, what is this new show? Like, this weird thing I've never seen before,
Right.
Stranger Things. And it looks like it's in the 60s. What's going on? I watched the first episode and I was like, well, I shouldn't say the whole first episode. I watched part of the first episode and I was like, this looks like it's not necessarily for me.
Right.
And that's probably what I have to say, like, right off the bat, is you have to get past literally like the first couple of, well, not even the first couple of episodes. Like, literally, it literally starts you off like right away. You see hints of the monster almost immediately, like actually immediately, pretty much, because in the first 10 minutes of the show,
It feels like a movie at some points.
no, it really does. And that's actually how well they did it. That's how well the brothers produced it and directed it. It feels like a movie, an actual, like, however many episodes every season is movie.
Right.
And that's why I love it. But, like, it brings sci-fi, it brings thriller. That's also the thing I love as well, is because it doesn't throw the horror in your face. It doesn't throw the thriller in your face. It actually builds it up. And honestly, movies back then, TV shows, stuff like that, that's how they did it. They didn't throw things in your face. Like, for example, a perfect example of this would be Sign.
Whether you like M. Night Shyamalan or not, that's up to you, but go on.
I think Signs is a fantastic classical movie.
And I'll agree. I don't know if it's classical. I would say maybe it's a cult classic, because M. Night Shyamalan, he makes a lot of movies that I think, I don't know, they fit they're a certain niche that I think only a few people really like. But I agree, like you don't really, if what you're saying is that you don't really see the monster or the aliens and all the scary stuff right at the beginning. It's all a lot of, you see something and it's like very vague, you can't tell the difference, and then later on you see the monster in full focus. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. You don't have to actually, it doesn't picture the monster right away, because I feel like a lot of horror movies nowadays are doing that. They're throwing the monster, the horror, the ghosts right in your face, and it's like, well, now what do I have to be scared of?
Well, and I think there's a difference between like a lot of horror movies. I don't know, I'm not a horror movie junkie. I'll be honest, I'm not a horror movie junkie. I don't think Den is either. But I think what we both really appreciate from Stranger Things is it's more of a thriller, it's more suspenseful, and the point of the show isn't just to, like, kind of spook you, not just make you ooh, but it's just to it's to help you, it's just to kind of tell a really good story, make you feel a little uncomfortable in parts, but the point is to tell a really good story.
I would have to agree to that. Because it's really, that's what it is. It's a classic story. I mean, they literally kind of foreshadow everything going on through a game, actually, like through storytelling, through D&D. And so, which I think is fantastic, and a fantastic idea that they did, because in the very first episode you see the four kids, four boys, and they're just playing.
What's their names?
Oh crap! Mike, Dustin, Will, and I can't remember the black kid's name for some reason. and he's one of my favorite characters.
His real name's Caleb. Something Sinclair. Oh, shoot. What is his name? That's going to bother the crap out of me.
Look it up real quick.
Yeah,
Thank
we're going
goodness
there.
for Google.
Oh, my gosh. This is bad of us. Oh, crap. Just keep talking.
Well, anyways.
Lucas.
There we go.
I don't know.
Like, I literally watched it today, and
Because he's one of the coolest characters.
He
and
really is.
He's got this whole, like, I don't care attitude. Do something smart. Don't let 11 into our lives. We don't know who she is. She might be a crazy person. Which she might be kind of right, but I don't know.
I feel like that's probably one of the coolest things about it. Okay, I'm gonna take a step to the right a little bit and just be like, they really throw a lot of the stereotypes in there and just shatter them with Lucas, and I love it.
Yeah. And and I think that's why a lot of people like Lucas. And he just got this whole kind of his whole attitude I just like too. There are some moments where I think Lucas can be a little much, but when a freaky situation, when you're a kid especially, and you don't know what's really going on, you're pushy because you feel like it, and they just lost their friend. Anyway, I don't know.
Well, their friend is missing. No, they didn't lose their friend.
Well, that's fair. For those of you who don't know, I know we should probably always preface what the show is at the beginning of the show, or preface what show we're talking about at the preface of the show. Grammar, it's great. But Stranger Things is, I kind of want to call it a historical fiction in a way. There's not historical facts in it.
No, I can see where you're going for that.
It's a fictional story that kind of takes place in a historical time. It takes place in the 1980s, in a town in Indiana called Hawkins. Around this time, America and Russia, back then the Soviet Union, was in the Cold War. And there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of terror because we didn't know if Russia was ever going to start throwing nuclear weapons at us, or Russia was afraid we were going to start throwing nuclear weapons at them. The Cold War. It was great. I never lived through it, and there's a lot of crazy stuff historically speaking that happened. But Stranger Things takes place during the Cold War, time period. But it's not like your typical sci-fi movie. Whenever you see like trailers for Stranger Things, I thought at first it was aliens. I thought it was going to be like UFOs coming in, and no, it's actually about different dimensions.
The Upside Down,
and which is like our world, but different. It's like
a darker shadow realm of our current world. Basically, everything that we have in this world, they actually have in their world, but everything is shadow, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like if you were to turn your phone on negative. I don't know if we can make our camera negative for a minute, but this is what the Upside Down would be like
if I can make it, we'll put it in. But if we can't.
But it follows the story of these 4 kids, which we named Michael, Lucas, Will, and Dustin. And Will vanishes and disappears. They don't know where he is, and what we assume is that he was kidnapped by some creature. We also are introduced to another character named 11. That's her name.
Yeah, that's literally her name. She goes by Elle most of the time, and turns out she has psychic abilities.
Which is funny too, because we talked about this before, is that in that time period as well, the U.S. government had been testing with psychedelic drugs like LSD, see if like putting people on LSD would give them psychic powers. And it was a terrible time because a lot of people suffered from drug addiction. They had really bad side effects, and they couldn't live their lives normally anymore. But it was interesting that they also included that, because that's how Elle got her powers, is that her mother was one of those people they put on psychedelic drugs, and they then found out that her child was the one that got the psychic powers. So there are 3 seasons so far of Stranger Things.
We're banking on a 4th. So we know that the 4th one's coming out. Well, we just don't know what it's going to be.
I looked it up on Wikipedia. Just Wikipedia right here. It says season 4 Doesn't really say when the original release date is supposed to be, but it has the name, which is the Hellfire Club. So I'm interested to see what happens in.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens to season 4, because, like, obviously, spoilers, if you haven't seen it so far, I mean, in season 3, at the very, very end of season 3, you think that Hopper is dead, but obviously they've shown trailers that Hopper's alive, so it's not really a spoiler now at this point.
Yeah, so, do you mind if I talk about what I think about Stranger Things really quickly, and kind of talk about?
Yeah, you can do a brief one.
Yeah, okay. So Stranger Things, I'm kind of like Den. I thought it was hyped. I almost kind of thought it was like Frozen when it first came out. It was like, maybe not that bad, but I thought it was kind of hyped. Like, everybody talked about it, everybody raved about it, and I sometimes like to look at IMDb. Or check out the show just to see what everybody else is saying about it. And there were some things I was like, I don't really care to watch that. And so I just kind of put it on the shelf and put it away. And it wasn't until like 3 years later that I finally sat down with some friends and we watched it. And it was interesting to me. And then I tried to get on an exercise plan, and I had a stationary bike at home, and I would sit down and I'd turn it on, and it was done. I was done. I was hooked. I'd watch it whenever I could, and I really like the story. And like I said, it's different than a normal thriller show, suspenseful show. I just really liked it, and I liked the characters. And we touched on this earlier. I like how the upside down, the lore of Stranger Things is shaped around 4 kids. And 5, I guess, including 11. But
11,
these five,
6 including Max.
Well, yeah, but I'm gonna. Yeah, she comes in later. She doesn't really believe it, but it's the original 5. 11, Mike, Will, Lucas, and Dustin. Those 5. They base what they call the upside down, this parallel universe, on the game Dungeons and Dragons. Which is amazing, because as kids, when we see things we don't understand, we try to equate it to something that we already know is or familiar to us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I really like the show. I don't really know if anybody cared to know, but
No, I mean, like, I fell in the same way. Like, I was talking about this earlier. I didn't really finish about it because I got sidetracked. But I fell in love with it because I picked it up a little bit. I was like, this doesn't look like it's for me, because it looked like it was thriller immediately, and I was like, But then I found out that I was like, you know what? I want to give this another try. A lot of people seem to like it, and I was hooked immediately after the end of the first episode. And next thing I know, I'm in the 4th episode, 6th episode, and I'm done with the first season at that point. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, and it's super weird. And I don't know if it's just because Netflix has like opened up the market on like binging, but it's really easy to binge because you want to know the next story. And I think what Stranger Things has that a lot of other shows don't do is that each episode is sequential. Mm-hmm. And if there's any space, any like time difference in between episodes, it's all of like maybe
a day or two,
and not even that. It's like a couple hours.
Yeah, if that, like, really.
Yeah, and I like that, and I know that we talked about this a little bit in I think Avatar, or maybe I forgot to mention this, but like season 2 in Avatar, every episode kind of takes place right after each other,
right?
And they're all kind of woven together, because what happened in the last episode affected this episode, which affects the next episode, and that's the same thing with Stranger Things. I mean, at the end of episode 1, the boys find 11.
Right.
And then they start the next episode with 11's back at Mike's house, and they're trying to figure out who the heck she is. So I really liked it.
Yeah, no, I love. I'm going to say this over and over again, but I loved it. We loved it, and the fact that it brings a whole bunch. I feel like it brings a whole bunch of different worlds together.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it does, actually, because you have Nancy's world, high school. In a high school world, trying to find herself at this point. And then you have, for example, Jonathan, who is the outcast in high school, and he is the photo club or the photography club, and he's Oh, honestly, to put it bluntly, like I said, he's just the outcast. He's the odd one out.
He's the underdog.
He's the underdog. He really is the underdog at this point. You got Steve, who is the popular kid.
Mr. Hotshot.
Hotshot.
Good hair.
Everybody loves him, stuff like that, and like captain of the basketball team. And then you have, I would also say, like, not even. I want to say parenthood, but at the same time,
No, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, because they bring in like the struggles that parents have, and mostly I think the focus of the parents is Mrs. Byers. I can't remember her name right now. Joyce Byers, played by Winona Ryder. She's a single mom whose husband, they're divorced, separated for some reason. She's basically raised her 2 sons on her own. And then you've got the Wheelers, Mike's parents, who, it makes me laugh because it's like the mother who cares too much and the father
who doesn't care at all.
Yeah, and
I shouldn't say he doesn't care at all. Like
he's like the typical.
He doesn't care enough.
He's like the typical '80s dad, like '80s TV show dad. That's just like, that's fine, son. That's okay, honey. Hey, don't talk to your mother that way. Watch your language.
It's so funny. I was literally watching that episode today, and it's exactly how he sounds.
Yeah, and it's funny there, and I mean, and then you've got probably my favorite character, Hopper.
Which funny thing is, like, a lot of people don't like Hopper at first, and he's really portrayed that way, that he's just like this rough, just, I don't care about the world. I'm police chief, and I just don't care.
Yeah.
But in the end, and everybody loves him, and he literally becomes one of the most beloved characters of all.
Well, and it's funny because the farther you get on through the seasons, he stops looking at him as the police chief of this small town in India. He becomes more of like a father figure who tries to be a father,
right,
to Eleven, because she doesn't have parents at this time. What I really like about Hopper is that he's a very layered character. You don't, again, like in the beginning, he seems like this grumpy, tough. Used to be a city cop, now he's a sheriff in a small town, and but the reason why he's so tough on life is that he lost his daughter. A little bit later in the second season, you find out that he's got a box of Vietnam War stuff. So meaning that he served in the Vietnam War, which might explain why he's so grumpy at everything, because after Vietnam War, as you know, the Vietnam vets were not welcome back home.
No, they weren't. Like the Korean vets, the Vietnam vets, because during that time period, America did not want to be at war, and because of that, I mean, we literally just had World War I and World War II at that point, and America the whole world didn't want to be at war. And so at that point, literally have all the hippies saying like, no, make love, not war, and everything like that. But like, anyways, it's a whole nother story.
Yeah, it's a whole other story. But I mean, just Hopper, he's just such a layered character.
And that's what really makes him great. I mean, the fact.
And then it rips your heart out at the end of season 3, which if you haven't seen season 3, go watch it. But yeah, it's just really good. He's just really good. I just like Hopper.
No, he's a great character. Great character.
Big final thoughts on Stranger Things. It's a really good show. It's worth the hype.
It really is worth the hype. I would say if you haven't seen it already, please go see it. Especially if you have Netflix. If you have Netflix, watch it. You won't regret it. Though I will warn you, there are some tense parts. There are tense parts, thriller parts. I mean, it is a thriller.
Maybe not good enough for young children. There's some suggestive themes in it too. So just be aware of that. But
yes, but other than that, I mean, it's fantastic. I would ratings. No, I'll give it 10 out of 10. No, in my personal rating book, I would definitely probably give it for Netflix shows, probably like a good solid 9.5 out of 10.
I don't have a rating show. I'm just gonna tell you it's really good. I would recommend it.
Have anything else?
No, I think we're good.
All right, so,
Tell us your thoughts down in the comments below, what you like. If there's anything specifically about Stranger Things you'd like us to talk about, let us know. Comment down below. If you like what you're watching, please like it, subscribe, share it. Anything we can do to spread out our videos so that other people can reach it, we'd appreciate it.
And also, those of you that want to write something in the comments about this video, please do. He already said that, but also write down your thoughts about the show specifically. Tell us what you like and what you didn't like, and also let us know what specific topics you want to talk about with Stranger Things. Do you, like, for example, should
is it Jonathan or Will Byers who should win Nancy's heart? That's a hard one.
Will, you mean Steven?
Who did I say? Will? Sorry. Hey, you know what the heck? You know, they're only a couple years different in age, whatever.
Only a couple.
I'm glad I didn't say Mike. Gosh. Anyway, but until next time, I'm Don.
I'm in.
And we've been here for the win.